The first machine that we're going to look at and learn how to use is the LaserCutter. The LaserCutter is a Hobby Series 20 by 12 inch platform laser cutter, and like we saw examples before, it can be used to do all types of different things. Now, setup for the LaserCutter involves a handful of steps to get the machine actually up and running right. But before we even get to that step, we need to understand how we build or create designs in order to get them to the LaserCutter first. So we're actually going to be starting with a software overview, and in this project I'm actually going to walk you through creating an image and a cutout around it to act as sort of an ornament. So this will be your first project. This is what we'll create together, and if you walk through these steps, you'll understand every option you have moving forward to use the LaserCutter for much bigger and more complex projects. So the LaserCutter can be used to both etch and engrave, and then also cut. And both of these kind of operations are done using different design tools. The etching and the engraving aspects will be done through the use of a raster software such as Photoshop, which is actually what we're going to use for this project. And the cutting will be done through vector art software, and we'll use Adobe Illustrator for this. So the first thing I'm going to do is walk you through Photoshop, grabbing a photograph, and I'll show you kind of the settings and the things that we need to think about and mess with in order to have this thing etch right. And then probably the following video will be bringing that into Illustrator. So we'll go to Photoshop, which is the blue PS in the bottom of your dock. Open it up, and we're actually going to create a new file. So File New. Because the first thing that's important when using the LaserCutter is that we set up our document correctly to match the size of the material we're going to be using. So we're going to be using 12 by 12 inch piece of birch plywood. It's 1/8 thick, thin enough to cut easily, but it's 12 by 12, so we're going to dial in a width and height equal to inches and equal to 12 by 12. We're also going to title this something so that it doesn't save as untitled, which is a bad situation. So I will title this Laser Project 1. The rest of this is actually the resolution. You want to jump up to 300. That is a print quality resolution, and we're going to be using this image as kind of a artwork to tell the LaserCutter how to etch, or in other words print out by firing off and burning the wood or not, an image. So we want the resolution up high, so 300 is good. So we're going to create it, and you'll see that we have a 12 by 12 inch square, which represents our workspace. So anything we have on here is going to fit inside of our 12 by 12 inch piece of birch plywood. So that's perfect right off the bat. We don't have to worry about resizing or changing anything. So there's the setup. I'm not going to show you everything that you need to know about Photoshop, but I'm going to show you a few things so that your etching can come out better than just simply putting a photograph. Now, we can get a photograph from anywhere. You can take a picture on your camera and upload it. You can draw something in here if you like, but for this example, I'm actually going to use a photograph from Google Images. So I'm going to grab this photograph from Google Images and drag it right into the Photoshop workspace, and there's our image. If we want to move around, we can grab the Move tool. So in Photoshop, a quick rundown, all the tools are to your left. You have a bunch of pull-down options on top. To the right are all the panels in which you can change and manipulate the things that you create using these tools on the left. So the first tool here is the Move tool. It allows me to move my image around. I'm going to put it in the center of my screen, and in fact I can make this bigger or larger. It's a pretty good size, but just how you see how this operates to make it change the scale. I'm hitting Command T on my keyboard to pull up these handles, which allows us to manipulate the size. You could also go up to Edit transform or free transform, which are going to give you these handles. Now if I don't hold shift, I might run into the problem where I squash this thing or stretch it out. So I'm going to hold shift to constrain proportions, make this thing a little bit smaller, and I'm going to move it around where I want it. So the first step is understanding how to move your image and resize it, which we just went over. Move it with the Move tool, resize with Command T, or Edit, Free Transform. The next thing you're going to want to know how to do is to crop or cut things out. For instance, if we only wanted the image of this house, we could cut this out instead of the whole background, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. And in fact, the few main things that I'm going to show you how to do, which will set you up for manipulating images for your laser cutter, is I'm going to show you how to select things, use the selection tools, and I'm going to show you how to create adjustments to adjust the photograph so that it's at its best image quality for laser cutting, and we'll talk about that. So this is how to set up your Photoshop project. I'm going to keep these videos short, so there's how you move around. Command T or Edit Transform is how you can resize. I'm going to stop this video now, and the next video we'll go over the selection tools.